Man translation, bridge the gap. Communication so real, no cap. A different language for woman and man. Decode the language and you'll understand. Nah, it'll help you out. Rest assured, women have no doubt. Pillow talk, dinner talk. Give you the info to walk the walk. Nah, sometimes it's a foreign language. Now know what's up, don't mistake it. This'll help you every situation. Empower yourself, it's liberating, yeah. Communication, don't need no speculation. Just get that clarification, then reconciliation. Man translation, yeah. Man translation,
yeah. Hey, what's going on Facebook Live? What's going on YouTube? Yes, we on YouTube. I told y'all things that start out small, don't stay small. So we are growing, going to the next level, and we are here. I'm Scott C. This is Dante V. I'm resident communication and relationship strategist. We talk about hot topics. We talk about all kind of topics. We talk about stuff that we give you the real, the raw, and the uncut truth. And today we're going to be talking about soul ties, the ties that bind. And we're going to tell you why we are here. We are here to bridge the gap of communication between men and women, because men and women think differently. They don't think the same. And we need to bridge the gap if we're going to go forward in unity in a culture. So we have a comment already. Yes, David Lynn, welcome. Welcome, Davida Lynn. Yes, welcome. April, welcome. All of our new people, welcome. So we're going to be talking about a subject matter that I guess you could say is controversial, Dante. What you think? Because some people believe in soul ties and some people don't believe in soul ties.
Right. I wouldn't say controversial. I just believe it's one of those topics that not too many people want to talk about because, you do kind of have to examine yourself when it comes to that. So
yeah, I think this channel, what I love about this channel is the fact that for those of you that don't know, all of our new people, Dante is my son, I'm his mother. And so it's really important in the African American community that we see mothers and sons have healthy relationships, because it's a taboo. I don't know whether a lot of you know that or not, but mothers and sons are really kind of like taboo relationships. It's like, you get called mama's boys if you have a relationship with your mother. And so I wanted to, bring that aspect because it brings a uniqueness. You don't really see a show with a mother and a son. And so the soul ties, I think that is critical because people operate in the soul ties and they don't even know it.
No, they don't. And that's the scary part, looking back at it. You can be operating in something and something can be doing you harm, or you have the answer to what's actually happening to you in the soul tie or soul ties you've been involved in.
Well, the thing is that, a lot of people don't talk about it because they don't really know what it is. We were talking about, when we talked about what was the show? Love, is it Love, Lust, or Infatuation? And one of the things that people surprisingly, I told them was that love is not a feeling. Love is a spirit. And so we talked about the difference between your spiritual part of yourself and your soul part of yourself. And so when you're talking about your soul ties, you're talking about the 5 areas of your soul, which is your mind, where you that houses all of your thoughts. And then you have your emotions, which your mind kind of controls how you feel. A lot of times people will say, well, I feel this way. How do I stop feeling this way? You change your thoughts. Change the things you're thinking about.
That pattern has to go. Pattern has to change.
People don't make the connection that if you think about something sad, then you're going to feel sad. And if you think about something happy, then you're going to feel happy. And so that part of you, that's your personality, where you express your emotions and you express your will, where you make your decisions, and your intellect, where you reason. All of that side of your soul is all affected when you have these different types of relationships. And so I think it's really important to talk about, because this thing is running rampant. It's running rampant. It's running rampant. People have soul ties. They don't know why they can't get out of these toxic relationships, because you're tied. You're literally
tied
tied by
to
your
whatever trait.
Yeah.
Yes. And while you get out of one relationship, you think you found something different, but you actually found the same person who just dressed different, talk different, because that thing is on you. So you subliminally are going out saying, hey, I don't want Sprite anymore, but you'll go get Sierra Mist. Same thing, just a different company.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think people don't realize that, because these things are invisible. You know, these are the invisible parts of us, but we see them show up in our lives in a really tangible way. But because
Yes.
they're invisible, people they don't realize that they're operating in them, and they're really very strong. So we're going to talk about some touchy little things too. We're going to get a little, we might have like a couple triggers that's going to happen, because we always take a deep dive, because we always talk about our own life and our own experiences. So yeah, let's talk about what a soul tie is.
Hold on. I blacked out for a minute.
Right. So I see you got us on YouTube in the background. That YouTube you have us on?
Yeah, so I got like 4 different screens up right now. One of them,
So
the main one just went out. So yes, I got YouTube in the back in front of me.
I'm really excited, because that represents the next level for Man Translation, because YouTube is like TV. It has taken the place of TV. So, that's the next step for us. So a soul tie is an emotional or spiritual cording or tethering. It's inexplainable. It's a powerful emotional bond that you have to another person. And a lot of times the bond is over your traumas, your hurts, and your pains. And so, just think of it as an invisible cord that's tying you to a person. You can have it in a positive way or a negative way. Positive soul ties are like mother and son. That's a healthy soul tie. Friends, you can have healthy relationships and healthy bonds with your friends, and those are healthy. But when they become based on your past traumas and your hurts, that's when you really get to the emotional instability of it.
Right. That's when stuff becomes toxic. Also, with that being said, when it comes down to soul ties, it's wrong, because are toxic or negative in a sense, where they latch on to certain things about you, and not just you as a person. Whether you got something going for yourself, or they'll latch on to, hey, this happened to me as a child, and you guys are just sharing those different stories, and they latch onto that, and you build this bond. And we're not talking about sexual yet, but generally it comes in and you begin expressing yourself with this person, hanging around this person. You can't get time back. So anytime you spend time with someone, investing time into them, you can't get that back. They're giving you them, you're giving, you're giving parts of yourself to that person. So God forbid, things go left. They know everything about you. And although you didn't mean any harm to them, they can, of course, mean harm to you.
So when we talked about is it love, is it lust, or is it infatuation, we talked about your soul and how everything is based on how you feel, and that your feelings are unstable, and that when you make decisions based on how you feel, because your feelings are unstable, then you're going to probably misstep and make the wrong decision. And a lot of times in these relationships, the reason why you keep ending up with the same person, because you keep making the same decisions based on how you feel. So your soul,
Which is why I believe it's in the Bible, is slow to anger. You got to watch your mouth when you're in a state of emotion, whether it's, even if you're too happy, you can say yes to something, and then you sit back and think, it's like, that wasn't the smartest move. Or of course, when you're angry, it's just immediate, no, leave me alone, whatever the case may be. So you actually do have to approach things level-headedly. Just because someone's in your life and they're making you happy or they're saying all the right things, whether it's friendship or courtship or whatever the case may be, you have to sit back and evaluate everything because those things involve emotion.
Yeah, and I think that it's something that people don't really hear a lot of. They don't really hear that. Oh, you can't make this. What you mean? I can't make decisions based on how I feel. You know what I'm saying? So we talked about your spiritual self. We are triune. We are spirit. We are soul. And it's all housed in this body. And so because you neglect the spiritual side of yourself and you're always in your feelings and you're always in your emotions, it blinds you. It blinds you. So a lot of times somebody might see the red flags in these relationships and you don't see it because you're too emotional and you're too much in your feelings. And your feelings is also kind of based on a false identity. It's based on a false identity. The spirit of who you are is the heart of who you are. It is your true self. It's your true identity. And so when you operate in your spiritual side, you're able to see more clearly. And when you are in your feelings and you're in your soul, you're easily deceived. You're easily deceived and you're easily manipulated. So when you hear a man say, because we translate and decode the languages of men, when you hear a man say, oh, women are so emotional, what is he really saying, Dante?
What is he really saying? I can come off a list with that one, but the main thing he's saying is he's not trying to deal with your emotions. Thus, you being emotional. Two, he could be thinking, this is too much for me. So I'm gonna go head on and she's emotional or crazy, one of the two.
And if he's predatory, in his intentions, he's going to know that you're going to be easy to be controlled. You're really easy to be controlled. As you grow, you should be in control of your emotions and your feelings. I'm not saying don't have feelings, and I'm not saying don't have emotions. What I'm saying is that you cannot allow it to control you. So you have to get to a place where you just can't keep making, because you're gonna fail. The relationships are gonna fail. So if you want to know why the relationships are not working out, they're not working out because you're too much in your feelings, and your feelings are unstable. Like first I wanted some fish. I felt like I wanted fish. Now I want some chicken wings or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? So it's unstable. 1 minute you can feel one way, the next minute you can feel another way, and you just running hot and cold. And that's kind of normal for your feelings. So when you start trying to make decisions based on it, that's when you're going to, because your decisions is going to determine your destiny. Your destiny determines the direction that your life goes in. And so if you're making lifelong decisions based on how you feel, you're going to be shipwrecked. You're going to be shipwrecked a lot of times. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I just put the link up there so people can go ahead on and follow it. I was going to save that till later on.
Okay. All right, I'll hide it. So go ahead, Dante. Talk about that, because that's a major thing that I see a lot. I see people making these snap decisions. They meet somebody, they're attracted to them. They're looking at all of the outward things, and they're making a decision to get involved with somebody. And then once they're tied to them, and the mask falls off, they found out that that's not the person that they really want, to be with. What's that?
No, because we live in a society of right now. So you see this person, they may be attractive or whatever the case may be, and it's like, I got to get them before they find or start looking at someone else. Then you get with them, and then you don't spend any time investing as far as just doing your due diligence, asking questions about certain things, whether it's credit, do you want to be in a relationship, what are you looking for? It's like, this person's here now, and you just start assuming stuff. Now, later on down the line, this person isn't who they claim to be, But now because you have this soul tie, because it's going on for so long, you didn't invest, and you're emotionally here now. Now it's like, well, you keep giving this person the benefit of the doubt. Oh, well, it's this, it's this. No, accept those red flags for what they are, evaluate them, and start making your exit strategy immediately.
But I think that the issue and the problem is that, everything is based on like how they feel. And we talked about, how people use another human being as a drug, and they become addicted to how the person makes them feel. And they mistaken that feeling for love. They think that feeling is love, and it's really not. So, we're kind of bringing a whole different perspective to the table that you don't really hear people talk about. And I think that people don't really realize. I want to talk about it also from a child growing up. I share, my life growing up in the projects. You saw this all the time. You saw single mothers who were, full of pain and hurt and trauma, getting involved with all of these, a revolving door of men. You have to also ask yourself, what kind of effect is that having on your child?
Mm-hmm. And that's not looked at. It's like, hey, this person over here is making me happy, so
Right.
that child has to deal. And before we go any further, I have to say, if you're in a relationship and your significant other says you complete me, you probably need to run, because you should be completing you, not having someone else fill in that gap. Because the moment you have someone else fill in that gap, whether it's happiness, whether it's a distraction, or whatever the case may be, you'll get latched to them. And then will parallel that to the children, because this person completes me and they make me happy in a way my child can't. So therefore, the child kind of gets put on that back burner because you're not making mommy or daddy happy in certain areas.
But the child is not considered.
Exactly.
When your mother is in pain, or the father too, when your mother is hurt and in pain, and see, also these relationships that don't work out is also a form of rejection. So a lot of times people get into these relationships for validation because they feel accepted. So they're not really thinking about the child. They're thinking about, it's like if you injure your arm and you're in pain, all you want is the pain to go away. That's all you want. You just want the pain to go away. And I think, I use an example of when Whitney Houston did the interview with Oprah Winfrey, and they were talking about her addiction. And she said, he was, I was addicted to him. He was my drug. And so I think people don't realize that when they don't deal with their traumas and their hurts, and they use another human being as their drug, they use another human being as, and they become addicted, and these soul ties are made. I don't think they understand like how deep this thing goes, because it's very difficult as a little girl growing up, and then as seeing how it affected my brother, seeing my mother in these continuous revolving door of relationships and devaluing herself. Because a lot of times they'll say the other person devalued you. Well, no, you devalue yourself. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just a cycle that the only way it's going to stop is if we bring awareness and have these hard conversations.
And also, whoever's receiving this information they got to do a self-check. Like, you're in your car and that check engine light comes on. Well, we have one for us, whether it's intuition or, your spidey senses go off, but you have to use that.
Child, please, when you in that car and that check engine go off, you keep driving that car till that thing break. Women don't be worried about no check engine light.
I was just about to say that. Women do not care. No, but
you will drive to the engine fall out.
Nah, see, and that's the problem. You cannot drive to the engine fall out, because at that point, it's worse than what it could have been. The check engine light come on, take that thing over there to AutoZone, Pep Boys, whoever, and have them scan the light. Okay, what's wrong? Then at that point, you can make another evaluation. Okay, is this that serious? Is it not? But either way, get it fixed immediately. And I'm talking about internally, although I'm referring to the check engine light. But once you drive it in the ground, this light has been on since I got the car. How long you had the car? 3 years? Yeah, I'm not driving with you.
And that's what people do in the relationships. They stay in the relationships for 3 years. They've been abused for 3 years. They've been physically, verbally abused for 3 years, emotionally abused for 3 years. The check engine light been on, but because you're in your emotions, because you're in your feelings, because this person is a drug that you are so tied to and addicted to. And normally when you get checked, it's somebody else that check you. You got to take your car to the either to the dealer or take it to the inspection people, but you're not the one that's really doing the checking. You're doing the acknowledging. And that's my point. You're not going to acknowledge it because you don't see it. When you are in your feelings, when you live your life in your feelings and your emotions, you're blind. You're blind. You're not going to see it. And then we're living in a society that perpetuates it because everybody is doing it. And I thought once I became an adult, I was never going to see this type of behavior anymore because they tried to relegate it to only poor people. Oh, you live in the projects. Oh, you live in the hood. So, they act like that's only hood behavior. Well, I'm here to tell you, no, it's not.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
No, it's not because sometimes the people who got money, them housewives of Atlanta, whoever, they act like that too.
But see, the thing is that what makes you married? We talked about that. The ring don't make you married. The ceremony doesn't make you married. The dress doesn't make you married. What makes you married is the sexual intercourse. That's the quickest way to create a soul tie. Is to have sex, and that's running rampant all over the place. Little girls are not being taught to keep their cookies in the cookie jar anymore. They done broke the jar and then went buck wild. They broke the jar. The jar broke. They done broke the jar and they just buck wild. They buck wild. They are
definitely doing what they've been exposed to.
They're doing what they've been exposed to, what they grew up, watching. And the only reason for me the cycle was broken and I didn't repeat the behavior that I saw my mother do is because I had a grandmother who was talking to me. She wasn't really telling me about soul ties, but she was telling me the importance of not being promiscuous. She was telling me that, that you don't have to sleep with everybody that want to sleep with you. You know what I'm saying? That you need to have some discretion about your body. So she was really instilling in me how valuable I was, as a young woman growing up. And so we're not instilling that into our young girls. And like you said, they're growing up and they're just repeating what it is that they see. And I'm gonna tell you, it broke my brother's heart. It broke his heart because you are jeopardizing the respect and the trust of your children, of your child. And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how when you live your life by your feelings and your emotions, the protection for your children is no longer there, and how these predatory people come in. This girl popped up in my feed and she was talking about how she was raped by her father from a little girl. I think she had 4 or 5 sisters and they all were raped. And she was saying that she wasn't just raped by him like once or twice. It was every day, and how she used to dread in the mornings because in the morning, he would come into her room and rape her in the mornings before he went to work, And so I think that it's more to it than just, you feeling good. This is about either you're going to sacrifice yourself and be by yourself and protect your children, or you're going to be selfish and sacrifice your children. Because people don't look at it as sacrifice. They don't look at it as sacrificing their children, but it's a form of sacrifice. when you don't protect your children and you don't really know who these men are. Don't really know who they are. It takes a lifetime to get to know people. You know,
Yes,
we
it
are
does.
multi-dimensional, multifaceted people. People show you what they want you to know. So, you know, and when you open up your door into a relationship that you think is going to work, you're also jeopardizing and sacrificing your children because you don't know what the intentions are. A
They
lot of
don't.
times these men that are predatory, and we're not talking about all men, but it's a lot of them. They're not even really in a relationship for you. They looking at your
Yeah.
daughter.
Yes, they are, and that's sick. But like most men, when they see something they want it, they go after it, even if that means going through
Excuse me.
you, the adult. Bless you.
And that's why this is such this topic of soul ties, because you know, growing up, you'd be like, well, why don't they just leave? Like, why do they just keep taking the abuse? And you know, because you don't realize that in their soul they tied to this person, and after a while your self-esteem becomes non-existent, and then after a while you think that this is really what you deserve. This is like, hey, these are the cards I'm dealt. I guess this is the way it's supposed to be, especially if every relationship you get in it's abusive and you getting beat up and talked to like a dog.
No, you're absolutely right. The cycle has to be broken at some point. Has to.
You know what I'm saying? And then it's like we have to, as women, we have to get, where did this knight in shining armor rescue me, come swoop me up and save me? Where did that whole thing come from? Where did that garbage come from? We're gonna throw that back
Disney
in
movies.
garbage.
They came from Disney movies. There's always some princess somewhere that got to be saved, rescued, whatever. I don't mean, granted, my generation of women, some of them are just, they threw that away. I don't need to be saved, rescued. I got my own stuff going on. To which most men find that intimidating because they see that they're not needed in certain areas. So it's like, let me just go on. Let me go and back up because she too strong, too independent. So they back off.
Well, the thing is that if a man, think you too independent, that kind of shows his weaknesses, because there's no such thing as being too independent. That don't even make any sense.
It doesn't. But unfortunately,
I just think that we need to get rid of some of these ideals that have been presented to us. I remember growing up, I ain't never liked Barbie. I never liked Barbie. I never wanted a Barbie doll. I ain't like Barbie. I didn't like Barbie house. I didn't like her pool, her car. I ain't like Ken. I ain't like none of them because her life didn't look like mine. Me and Barbie didn't have anything in common. I couldn't stand Barbie. I could not stand Barbie. I wanted me a black baby doll with curly hair. I ain't want no Barbie doll. I never wanted a Barbie doll. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, and they never had like, a doll for, little black girls, when you had Ken and they had Barbie, she had friends and, she had a car. Where they do that at? They don't do that over here. So I could never relate to Barbie. I never could. So that knight in shining armor come swoop down and save me, that was never embedded in my mind, ever.
Well, no, because again, you're not because you're my mom, but you always thought differently. It's like, where did she get this from? But you've been ahead of your time. But for the people who grew up in that fashion, you got to find you a good man that's going to take care of you, that's going to do this for you, who's going to do that for you. It's like, yeah, come save me.
But even in marriage, though, that's not even realistic, because really in marriage, you're supposed to be to a level that you can really take care of yourself and you're whole, and he's to a level he can take care of himself and he's whole, and then y'all supposed to come together. It's not supposed to be you take care of me. It's supposed to be we take care of each other. So I don't even know where that garbage came from, because that's garbage.
That ain't taught. That is not taught. That the equalness in marriage to be equally yoked Not only with the physical, but everything else as well. Yes, we are putting in work because we have something to get to. This again going back to the gender roles. Women's supposed to do this, men's supposed to do this. So it's no, we working. It's that's not. These are things that aren't that they're not taught anymore.
But I think that way of thinking causes you also to be even more deceived, even more blind, and even more trapped. You know, if you thinking somebody's supposed to come and save you, you know what I'm saying? It's like you really have to get rid of that type of thinking because it's not really realistic. You're responsible for your own, for your own life. And the reason why like this subject is just really, I said I wasn't going to get emotional when I came on here, but the reason why I really wanted to talk about this, first of all, because you bring it up a lot, and we've never done like a deep dive on it, but also because I grew up, and you guys hear me say this a lot. I grew up with so many people that have been raped and molested. Like so many people have been raped and molested because the mother is in so much pain that the dysfunction and her hurt and her pain makes her so dysfunctional. She's not worrying about the needs of her children. She's just trying to make herself feel good. And she's using, a lot of times, it's more than one thing. She's not just using a man to make her feel good. She's probably drinking to make herself feel good. She's probably doing drugs to make herself feel good. She's probably eating to make herself feel good. And so I think that we need to redirect the responsibility, whether the man is in the house or not. You still have a responsibility to protect your children at all costs. I have never in my life heard of so many babies being raped. They are raping babies. Babies, 6-month-old babies. Like what is going on? Somebody has to have these hard conversations. It's not about judging you. It's about telling you it's a better way to do it and to build a community around with the single mothers who need a break or need somebody to watch the children that they can trust. Because you can't trust your children with everybody.
No, you can't.
You know what I'm saying? But this thing is, like, I just have never in my life heard of nobody doing it. And I know for me growing up, we saw kids get killed and shot. And, I grew up around a lot of death and all of that. But it was like, there was a boundary. Like babies, you ain't touch babies.
That code's gone. It don't matter. I mean, you can turn on the news between Baltimore and Philly, somebody's kid's getting shot. Somebody's kid is dying. There's no more honor in that anymore.
But you can't just meet a guy. You can't meet a guy and then, the baby's father is somebody else. Because I don't care what nobody say. I don't care whether you love God, don't love God, read your Bible or not. Nobody's going to love your child the way you love your child. And another man is definitely not going to, it takes an exceptional man, for him to love your child, as his own. You know what I mean? But you don't really see that a lot. So what is possessing you to leave your child? With this young guy, they shaking them. The one guy, I think the little girl was 6 years old. He beat her to death. Okay, why are you home babysitting a child that's not yours while the mother is out at work? We have to build community. This show is about building community. It's about understanding the other sex, how they think, how they move, why they do what they do, decoding it, so that we can bridge this gap. This is real, and bring forth a community so that we can protect our children. Like, I'm so and then, for me growing up, I also had to deal with boyfriends trying to, you wake up and somebody got their hand down your pants or that, feeling on you or whatever. But I was taught to not be quiet. I was taught to fight. My grandma was like, she sat me down and said, let me tell you something. If he looked like he get ready to do anything to you, because my grandmother, my uncle was like my dad, my aunt was like my mother. My aunt ain't got good sense, and my uncle, if I even tell him somebody looked at me cockeyed, it's on and popping. So I was taught to, even though I was quiet and and kind of shy, but when it came to certain things, I would open my mouth. We have literally taken the voices from our children where they don't even trust the parent enough to say, Mommy, your boyfriend is touching me, because they know that the mother is going to choose the boyfriend over their own child.
I've seen that too many times.
Sacrifice.
Entirely time. Yeah.
You sacrificing your child to be with a man who's beating you and ain't no telling what he's doing and cheating on you and everything else. But you don't want him to leave. That's a soul tie. That's a soul tie. You don't want him to leave, and so you just turn your head the other way, knowing that he is molesting and raping your child. So soul ties are real, and don't let nobody tell you that they're not real. Not only are they real, we're seeing them, the effects of it in our society.
On a consistent basis.
On a consistent basis. I'm tired of them touching the children. Leave our children alone. And I understand that the relationship is a protection, and men have to take responsibility. You can't keep blaming because you don't get along with the baby mama and she be tripping. Regardless, do what you got to do. To spend some time, have some conversations, text, get a phone, figure it out. Do something. Your children need you. They need you. Even though y'all two might not be together anymore, you still have a seed with that woman.
It ain't even about that. You go be a mom, I'll be a dad. All that in between stuff, it's not needed. But somebody still got feelings somewhere, somehow. Because generally when someone breaks up with someone, majority of the time it's never mutual. Somebody still has feelings, so therefore they're left hanging. And a lot of times the person who still has feelings, they become better. And they'll use whatever they have to their advantage. Again, I'm not speaking of everyone, but I've been through an instance where, hey, are you good? You want to go this route, so go that route. I'll be a dad, you be a mom. But between going to court and threatening to get locked up and child support and everything else, all that for what?
All. See, and that's what I'm saying. That's all emotions. That's all you in your feelings. You all in your emotions, and you're not thinking about what is in the best interest of the child. And the more the tie is created after you have sexual intercourse, many people have soul ties with many people, which results in your soul being scattered. That's why people can't focus. That's why you can't focus. It affects every area of your soul. You're not thinking properly. Your intellect is where you're supposed to reason. That's where you logicize. I call it logicizing. That's where your logical thinking, and your analytical and your objectivity should come from. All of that gets blurred. Because you're scattered. Your soul is now scattered among all these people that you've had sex with. My grandmother, she didn't really get deep into it like how we getting deep into it. She just was like, you're going to keep your legs closed. You ain't going to be sleeping around. You ain't going to have no babies unless you're married. You ain't got no husband, then don't be bringing no babies in the world. And that's the generation that I grew up in. So I have a responsibility to pass down information to the next generation. So I don't want to hear nothing about you ain't my mother. Okay? I don't have to be your mother. I don't have to get to tell you the truth. Okay? But go ahead, Doctor.
Yeah, because what? Soul ties. I speak a lot about soul ties because I've been through it, and I didn't have I thought I had an understanding of it, but come to find out, I had a basic understanding of what it was, which is why for the long I just was by myself. You got to get me together. Got to get those parts of me back. You sleep with somebody, you're not sleeping with them. You sleep with everything that they bring, everybody they slept with, because they got pieces of other people's souls in them. I know it sounds crazy, creepy, but please do your research, look it up, talk to a pastor, go to church. Um, is that you're giving part of you away to someone else. I mean, if you think about the sanctity of marriage, again, two people come together and become one flesh because y'all together. Granted, different souls, but y'all still together. That soul is tied between y'all two. Generally, when a woman goes out and cheats, the man knows. Women just have women's intuition because y'all just are just very into a whole lot of stuff, but that's a different story. But when it comes down to it, your soul is intact, and then you'll get pieces of it away. Some people might have more than others, and some people may not. And it's not until you literally have to sit down and you gotta cut those soul ties and get yourself back from people. Might take a 6 months, might take 6 years. It really does depend. Depends on how many people you've been with. I've never been a fan of sleeping with multiple people, but throughout the course of time, if you've been sexually active at an early age, you've got to go back and get that. You've been sexually active since 16, so part of you has been missing since 16. You haven't had the full you back. And for me, that struck home when my incident where I had got divorced and went through a breakup all in the same week. Yes, you heard that correctly. Two different people, same week. And it was like, this is not who I am. What have I become? Sitting down, doing research, talking with different people. I love talking to older people because they have so much wisdom. And there's something about older women. They'll tell it to you straight. Well, baby, you gotta get you back. Well, I'm trying to figure that out. No, you got to go and get your soul back because you got some of it, but there's other parts of you still out there just running around without you. You need to go back and get that. I'm like, what is this lady talking about? So to go back, sit down and think about what she's talking about. Pull out my Bible. I'm like, yeah, I'm not whole. I'm not. How can I be who I'm supposed to be if I'm half a man, half a soul? So you got to go back and get. Again, it sounds creepy, it sounds weird, but I promise you, it's true. Sex is a ritual.
Mm-hmm.
So you going off and doing these rituals with everybody, you giving you up, you giving that up. Go get it back.
Well, they don't even really know about soul ties, so they don't really know that when you're scattered, just think of, your leg over here, your arm over there. You're scattered, and pieces of your soul is really lodged with different people. And for women, I think for women it's serious for men and women, but I think it's more serious for women because women become a dumping ground. They become a dumping ground. So, every man they sleep with, when he ejaculates, he loses strength, but she receives, she receives all of that energy. So, I call it a cemetery for semen. So their bodies become literally a dumping ground. Their bodies literally becomes a cemetery for semen. And then you think that that's not affecting you. And you think that, it's no big deal, but it is a big deal. And I remember when our Surgeon General came and said that, he said, for every person that you sleep with, you sleeping with every person that they've slept with. And so it's like a network. It's a soul tie, not just between you and the person, but it's a network of people, and you're literally scattered. And another way to look at scattered is broken.
Mm-hmm.
You're broken and splintered, and in your thinking, you're unstable. In your thinking, you're double-minded. You're double-minded in your thinking. And then a lot of people right now, we're in like a entrepreneurial explosion. All of these things have to be dealt with if you're going to be successful in business. All of these things have to be dealt with if you think you're going to be successful in your personal life. In your personal life, this stuff has to be dealt with. We can't keep, having our culture this way. Nobody wants to talk about it because you won't get likes and followers. I'm gonna get likes and followers anyway. You know why? Because I'm speaking to your spirit, and I'm telling the truth.
Mhm.
I'm telling the truth, and probably answering a lot of the questions that you've been having for years. This is why you keep attracting the same type of broken man over and over again. Not because you deserve it, not because you're not worth it, but because it's like sending out a scent or a signal. They picking you up.
Yep. Mm-hmm. They're picking you up and they're running to you because they know what they need to do.
And so how do you expect for them to come into your life? They're broken and scattered. You're broken and scattered. And you'd expect for them to be predatory over your child? We have to take responsibility as a community for all this rape and molestation. One lady, she called in, she said it was the grandfather. The grandfather was raping all the grandkids. What? It was grandpa. Because when you so tied to people, they stay in these toxic relationships. They get used to them. They become familiar. Grandpa should have probably been gone. She said the grandfather was raping all of the children.
And ain't nobody said nothing.
So you keep talking about breaking generational curses. The curse starts with you. It starts right there with you.
And it got to end that way too. It has to end that way.
What are you allowing? The American sexual revelation is wreaking havoc in the nation and the family. Promiscuity, nudity, and sexual obscenities have become commonplace, and our consciences have been desensitized. And we're not even going to talk about porn and what porn does to your mind. You know what porn does to your mind? It makes a man have erectile dysfunction. He can't even have anything because he is literally creating a loop in his brain, and he can't even do anything unless porn is on while he having sex. It is literally breaking your brain, not just your mind where your thoughts are. We're talking about your brain.
Yeah, I ain't got that problem. But
masturbation is you're having sex with yourself. Right now, a lot of women are becoming celibate. I talk, about celibacy a lot. And they ask me, is masturbation, if I'm celibate, can I masturbate? And I'm like, no, you still having sex. You just having sex with yourself. Having sex with yourself opens up the door to homosexuality. When you having sex with yourself, whose hand is having sex with you? A female hand. What's the difference between your female hand and another female hand? Nothing. Y'all are not looking at the spiritual side of it. When you're dealing with evil spirits and dark arts, it's very subtle. It's very subtle. It opens up the door. We live in a society where same-sex, is acceptable. So for you to do that, that's not no big deal. But most of the gay people that I talk to and minister to, they admit to me they've been raped and molested. They wasn't born that way. A lot of them was not born that way. A lot of them have been raped and molested. And now they struggle with their sexuality. They struggle with it. They don't that's what that closet is. That closet, they in there fighting with that thing. They fighting with it. So this is not just about, who's straight and who's gay. This is about the protection of a culture of people, starting with our children first. We can't even get to marriage. How can we even put marriage on the table when we're not even whole? Marriage, all you're going to do is just mess somebody's life up. You all messed up. And then every relationship you're scattered. Your temple is now a cemetery for semen. Dude is just humping. He just hump, dump, and go. Hump, dump, and go. Hump, dump, and go. That's all he doing. And so we're now operating on an animalistic level. We're not even acting like humans anymore. This ain't got to do with homosexuality, who's straight and who's gay. This has to do with the predatory, animalistic behavior that we've opened the door to, that we now need to get knowledge about, and we need to now close that door, and we need to vet these relationships. We need to vet the people that's coming around our children.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that should be number one. That people definitely need to be vetted. They need to be background checked around, whatever the case may be.
Look, credit checking everything these days. And if that means you got to be by yourself, so it's going to boil down to either you're going to sacrifice your children or you're going to sacrifice yourself. But it's going to be a sacrifice that's going to be made. When I got divorced, I sacrificed myself. I was still young. I could have went out there and got me a dude and had him pay my bills. I could have did all that. But I was like, no, I'm just going to focus on raising my children. This is my responsibility. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to focus on raising my children, and I'm going to be in it for the long haul. And that's the same thing with business. Business is a daily, I ain't going to say grind, but it's a daily consistency. It's a daily perseverance, because you have to learn how to delay gratification for the long haul. Mm-hmm. My children are all grown. I can start my business. I'm not in a relationship. I can do whatever I want to do. Okay? I'm grown. I raised them already. Okay? But when they were, small growing up, even how was I going to have a business and go to work and do all this stuff? Something was going to get lost in the translation. And it's sad that we live in a society where people have such soul ties that they haven't dealt with, that we can't hardly trust nobody with our children. That's bad. Children are off limits. You don't touch them babies. They ain't got to be my baby. They're all my babies. All of them is mine. You don't touch them babies. Oh, we can't trust nobody in the community with our children. You can't live with aunties and uncles. You hear uncles them raping people. You only hear a lot of women. I heard one story of a mother. That was the worst one I ever heard. But you don't really hear a whole lot of women doing stuff like that. But you definitely, these days, come on. We got to talk about this stuff. This is a hard topic, and you might get triggered. But your trigger, if it triggers you, that means that thing that comes up, you need to eradicate it. You need to get rid of it. You need to deal with it. You don't run from your triggers. You face them.
Sure. No, you're supposed to deal with it. That's how you get over it. No, go back to the other one.
Which one?
The prisoner one. There you go. Yes, you become a prisoner to the other person. When y'all not together, and you find it's been years, and you find yourself thinking about this person, wondering what they're doing, and just wanting to contact them. That's part of having a soul tie. Yeah. That's part of someone that you need to go back and you gotta cut it. They might not be thinking about you, but you be thinking about them, which is kind of crazy how that works, because you can have a soul tie with someone, but then they can't have one with you. Whether they cut it or it's just the connection just wasn't strong enough, or whatever the case may be. But if you find yourself thinking, I wonder what this person doing.
When you find yourself thinking about them and you can't stop thinking about them, they have now become a part of your soul. They have literally stepped inside of your soul, and you are literally carrying them around with you. I think it was Juanita Bynum when she did her No More Sheets, and she asked God, why wasn't she married? And God told her, because you're not single. Because you're carrying around in your soul every single man that you've ever slept with. And the reason why a lot of men are walking around weak is because every time they ejaculate or give out semen, they lose strength. So this sexual thing, you know what I'm saying, is this soul tie, you know, it's detrimental. It's detrimental to our society, because when you're dealing with the invisible, you know, when you're dealing with the invisible or the spiritual, it's a lot going on in the spirit realm that you don't even see, because you're so busy living your life by your soul and about how you feel. You know, when you meet somebody and you feel you know, connected on a deeper level, how am I going to feel connected with you? I just met you.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't feel no. Mm-mm. And every last one of these going to have the word feel in them. And you're going to hear me say that over and over again, because I want you guys to get out of your feelings. I want you to examine your feelings and not allow them to be in control of you. You can't keep allowing your feelings to control you.
No,
Because you're going to fail. Your relationships are going to fail. In business, things don't always go the way you want them to. I remember when I launched my first webinar, 3 people showed up. 3 people. I was feeling some type of way because I knew what I had was good. I knew that what I had, you know, because I know that I'm legitimate. I know I don't play little tricks and little games like how a lot of these little false pseudo coaches that we got out here just to get your money. You know what I'm saying? I knew what I had was valuable. 3 people showed up. Because why? Everybody wants instant, and everybody wants to be in their feelings. They feel familiar. You meet somebody and it feel like you've known them for a long time and you just met them. No, because you're not understanding how valuable you are. How valuable you are. And the adversary is sending people because he know you in your feelings. And it'll be that very person. Because most of the time, we attract our traumas. We come face to face with our traumas in the form of another person. So they feel familiar because, you know, life is trying to tell you, but you're not paying attention. You're not paying attention. Because when you're in your feelings, you're easily deceived. Dante, this the one you talk about all the time.
Listen, again, if somebody said that you complete them, run. You are not anyone's void. You are not anybody's peace. You ain't, by peace, I actually mean like an actual peace, not like not peace. No, just go. People should be completed themselves. That person should be complete already. If you're filling the gap or filling the void for that person, you know, that whole Jerry Maguire, you complete me. No, I don't. I gotta go.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to complete nobody. I'm not a sentence.
You know, I've really been kind of thinking about how, you know, what is it that I can do to. I really want to start some type of business where we can create a safe haven and a safe community for the children, because single mothers do, you know, they do deal with a lot. They do need a break. You know, there's nothing wrong with, you know, wanting to get a break, go to a spa or something like that. You know what I'm saying? We really need to create a safe haven where you vet the people, do background checks and fingerprints and all of that, where they could just come in, you know, maybe like some type of babysitting service where they could just drop the children off for a couple hours and go and, you know, and just enjoy themselves for a little while, because life is about balance. Everything in life is about balance. And if you're constantly, you know, with the children, because children demand a lot of your time. They didn't demand all of your time. They demand all of your attention. And if you yourself is broken, you know, after a while, it's going to be a point where you're going to snap. You know what I'm saying? You know, I already think as a community, we didn't already snap. But I just really been kind of just thinking about what is it that we can create. Because I'm so tired. I hear these stories constantly over and over again. I'm just tired of people just being raped and molested. And they haven't told anybody. So now you done been raped by your uncle or your cousin or grandpa, and then you can't tell anybody, and then the family reunion or the barbecue or 4th of July, you got to go and see grandpa walking around TTing like ain't nothing wrong. You see what I'm saying? Do you know what kind of effect that has psychologically? That's the generational curse. We always talk about curses outside. We got to be dealing with what's going on, all the stuff that's been swept up underneath the rug. We got to pull the rug back, all the secrets.
Nope. I mean, if anything, the family reunion is the best. There we go. Hey, Grandpa nasty. Who gonna say something?
Because somebody probably did something to Grandpa. Mm-hmm. See, that's the cycle. Somebody done did something to Grandpa. Now Grandpa growing up, he done did something to the children. The cousins is touching you because somebody done touched the cousins. You see what I'm saying? No. Your father is touching somebody done touched the father. So at what point? Because when people have shame is like a cage. Shame will keep you quiet. It'll muzzle you. It'll take your voice away from you, and it'll keep you in a prison of misery. So what kind of adult now are you going to be? What kind of relationship you're going to be? You've been holding on to this since you was 5 years old. I didn't heard everything. I didn't heard 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up. And it's like these, because it's family or familiar spirits, people you know, not strangers, people you know, it's not like it happens one time. These people are molested, like the girl said, every day. Every day. She said we were a buffet. What? A buffet? Where mama at? We got to come up with something as a safe haven for the children. This got to stop.
No, it does. It definitely does.
The relationship feels one of a kind. Oh, Lord, please, let's talk about this one. They feel like your twin flame. Lord,
I just started getting into, because I'm not really into, flames and all the other stuff. I understand some things about astrology and that, but I had never went too deep. So I couldn't tell you what a twin flame was. I ain't trying to.
Well, because a twin flame is like a soulmate. It's the same thing as a soulmate. It's like a soulmate. But the thing about the twin flame and what we need to know about our generational curses is that we come from a line where our ancestors practiced voodoo. Some of our ancestors practiced voodoo. Some of our that's also in our bloodline. Some of our ancestors were into the dark arts. So when you start getting into twin flames, and I know some people are gonna get offended, but I don't really care nothing about your feelings. I don't live by how I feel. When you get into twin flames, to me, without really just like really getting deep into the spiritual side, but to me, a twin flame is the dark you. The adversary, it's almost like the movie Us. I'm telling you, when you meet people, when you're broken and you haven't dealt with your trauma, you meet your dark side. A lot of times, these soul ties are the dark side of you. A person in the form of your trauma, a person in the form of your pain. And so to me, a twin flame is like a doppelganger. You come face to face with your dark side. So it's a mirroring. In narcissistic toxic relationships, they mirror you. What do you see when you look in the mirror? The mirror is normally distorted because what they're showing you is the dark you. Because when you operate in traumas and hurts and pains, you and your feelings, you got emotions and all of that, that's all negative. That's not positive. That's all negative. And so the other person is feeding off of your negativity. That's darkness. That's evil.
Wow.
So you're basically attracting evil. I mean, that's what I see. So I don't really think a twin flame is a good thing. I remember when my marriage came to an end and I was praying and praying and praying and praying. And I was like, but God, he my soulmate. God said, you don't need a soulmate. You need a spirit mate. Because the spirit is the true you. That's the true you. When you start creating a person out of your soul, that's a false identity. Because what you've done is you've created a false identity as a defense mechanism to deal with all your hurt, to deal with all your pain. And the true you is buried on the inside of you. And that's why you can't be authentic, because there's no authenticity in there. There is no authenticity there. You gotta deal with that stuff so you can come face to face with the true you.
Nope, agree.
Not no twin
Agree.
flame.
I ain't never think about no. Whew. You dream about the crowd. Yeah. I mean, I'm on the fence about that one because you really can't control who you dream about.
Well, I ain't never dream about none of my exes. Don't become, wiggling yourself up in my dreams. No,
I have.
Close the door.
But I've always been the type that I can control my dreams. So if I don't like what's going on, I just wake up. Let me go get some water or something. Try this again.
We talking about telltale signs you have a soul tie. You can't get them off your mind.
Yeah,
we don't went overtime, so we're gonna start moving a little fast. Now this one is when it gets real toxic. This is more so like a codependent. When the soul tie turns into a dependency. So that person has really become your drug, and you really feel like you can't function without them. You can't be without them. If you don't hear from them, you be spazzing out if you don't hear from them. I've seen people do that in relationships. Before the text could even get through, you waiting for him you just sent the text. Dang, let him call you back.
Nope. I've been there too. I know you got your phone on you. That don't mean I'm trying to respond to you. I'm not obligated to respond to your text when you text me.
So again, the twin flame, when the connection is dark, constraining, and obsessive, but it's a lot of other signs and stuff that people are not going to see because they so caught up in how they feel about the person or how the person makes them feel. And so when it gets to be dark and you feel, like you're in a literal prison, that's normally not a good sign. So a soulmate is an immediate tie, and soul ties are created over time. And the reason why soul ties are created over time, because they normally are bound by a sex ritual. Sex is a ritual where you exchange spirits, and it could be good or bad. And most of the time, it's bad because there's no.
You don't know what you get yourself into. You barely know this person.
Yeah. The connection feels psychic in nature. You can hear their voice or sense their touch. I hear people say that a lot. Can you get a soul tie from a kiss?
I would say yeah.
Yeah.
I would definitely say yeah.
Multiple similarities, the mirroring. A lot of the relationships that I see is that, because I was asking this question the other day. I was like, man, I wonder why the adversary sent this particular person for that particular person. And it was like, yeah. Who said yes?
That is Miss Vonnie Renee. Hello, how are you?
Welcome.
She's answering the question. Can you get a soul tie to the kiss?
So we're going to end with this. Your soul has power. Pastor Tony preached this message before. Your soul has power. All parts of you really have power. And so because you don't really know the power that you carry, that's what abuse is. Abuse is abnormal use. That means you don't really know what the purpose of a thing is. So you abuse it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yes. It was. I'm trying not to get deep into that, but it was a soul tie. And not only that, people, when you're dealing with the dark arts, people can cast a spell on you just by a kiss. Remember, Judas kissed Jesus. Yes. Your mouth is the nastiest thing on your body. We're dealing with the spirit realm in a good way. See, people always think that when you talk about the spirit, it has to be evil. It's not. You have holy and unholy. You have good, you have evil. And so when I'm talking about the spirit, I'm talking about the holy, but we also have the unholy, which is evil. And so yes, you can create a soul tie, because a lot of times sex starts with a kiss.
Yes, it does.
It starts with a kiss. So yes, you can create a soul tie with a kiss, and a spell can be placed on you, with a kiss. I just believe from the years of being in ministry and watching relationships, I just believe that people come face to face with their toxic self in the form of another person. That's why it feels so familiar. That's why it feels like, oh, it feels like I've known you for such a long time. It shouldn't be feeling like none of that. And so I want us to just really think about it, because we're like really over time. Thank you for the new people, Davida and April. Keep coming back, like and share, because we want this channel to be uncut, raw, and to bring the truth so people's lives can be changed and transformed for real. For real. Okay? Because our children are at stake. Our children. And if anybody have any ideas about a business that we can start, you know what I'm saying? Who said, a business that we can start,
again.
That where we can have, like just not even just a daycare center, but just a big old babysitting, thing. They don't have after school care anymore. They don't have, how we were growing up, we had after school care. We had arcades where we could go to after school. You go to the arcade, hang out till mama get home and stuff like that. It seems like nobody has an outlet. Mama don't have an outlet. Daddy don't have an outlet. We need to create more outlets. You know what I'm saying? So that all of this stuff gets backed up in our community, and it's getting dumped on our children. It's getting dumped on our children. The guy who raped his daughter in Philadelphia, it was his biological daughter. He raped her. It was another guy that just raped the baby, split her wide open. Split the baby wide open. So it might be triggering for y'all, but I want our children to be able to come to us and tell us that somebody is touching them or doing something to them. I don't want us to take the voices from our children. I want us to give them back their voices. Children don't make stuff up like that unless something real wrong with them. But children don't normally make up stories like that. If somebody doing something to them and touching them, they really want to tell, because it changes them. It changes them forever. It changes them because it's an assault on their souls. It is an assault on their spirit. They can't handle that. And then for it to be happening repeatedly for years and years and years, no, we got to talk about this stuff. So Dante, close us out. Thank you guys all for coming, like and share. We want our YouTube channel to really grow because we want to bring awareness and we want to get the word out. And we don't want no shallow. Okay, time out for the shallow. All these little shadow gossipy little shows. We ain't got time for that in our community. We have to raise the standard. We have to do it. Close us out, Dante.
One, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna say thank you to Miss Butler who brought in Miss Davida, and I can't see the other person that she brought in. Davida and April.
Yes.
She was the one who tagged them in there so they can see. Also, thank you to Miss Vonnie for showing up. Greatly appreciated. Soul ties are difficult. Very difficult. They're even harder to get yourself back, especially when you have to sit down and make a list of all the people that you've been with, and then you gotta go and pray and a whole bunch of other stuff just to get yourself back. Keep yourself intact. The need isn't great to be with somebody. Either they gonna be there and y'all can walk this walk together, or they not, and they missed out. But the need isn't great to, I gotta hurry up and do this. There's no rush. There's no rush, especially when it comes to your soul and your children needing that time, that affection. Like, it's not, I've been down that road. Those of you who actually know my story, it was a difficult one. The aftermath of everything was a difficult one, but all in all, it's doable. It's possible, especially for men. Celibacy is not that bad. It's not that hard. In fact, it's almost recommended because once you get back into the dating world, there's a lot of stuff that you're not even going to tolerate. But all in all, I put the link for the actual Man's Translation, the YouTube channel, in the comments. So please head on over there. You can go back and watch this at any time. Again, like I said, like, subscribe, and tell a friend. Because
like, subscribe, and tell a friend. Thank you, guys. We'll see you guys next Sunday. And if you have any topics you want us to talk about, pray about, let us know. We love you, and we take this channel very seriously. We want to see change and impact and positivity in your life. See you next Sunday.